Yes, yes. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Daily Huddle. Today is Spiritual Matters Thursday, and I am your host, Dr. Monikah Ogando. Thank you for being here with us during this holiday season, and happy holidays to you. I say happy holidays as opposed to any specific one because from the summer solstice to the beginning to actually, what is it, January 6th or so, there's about 17 holidays that people celebrate as the end of the year and the beginning. And so I don't presume to know which one you celebrate. So we'll just have that big umbrella and say happy holidays to all. Today we are talking about what version of yourself are you consciously creating right now? Now, I want you to know that that is not a trick question, and it is also not rhetorical. So we're going to get into it today because I want to give you a few tools, a few questions. They are the creative acts of intelligence so that you can determine for yourself what your answer might be so that it's not an aspirational answer, but that it may be an interruptive answer. It may be a self-awareness answer, right? And then equip you to close out this year and hit the ground running come 2024. So again, welcome to the Daily Huddle. Yes, yes. Welcome, one and all, to our Spiritual Matters Thursday. Like I said, I'm your host, Dr. Monikah Ogando. And today we're talking about what version of yourself are you consciously creating right now? First, in case you forgot, we want to audit our assumptions, okay? So I deliberately use the word, what are you consciously creating? Because you're constantly creating a version of yourself unconsciously, right? And the way that we know which version of yourself you are unconsciously creating is by the results that, one, you don't pay attention to, and two, you deliberately don't want to pay attention to because you don't like them. You don't like those results, right? And so that is a great place to begin because, as our friend Dr. Carl Jung used to say, if you do not make the unconscious conscious, it will forever drive your life and you will call it fate. So the audit your assumptions mandate is actually quite deliberate because when you can check in with yourself and make the unconscious conscious, now you are at a choice point. You may have allowed something to happen because it was happening unconsciously. And as soon as you make it conscious, now it's a choice. If you continue to do that, now it's a choice, right? So let's start there. Let's start with what's the version of yourself that you have been unconsciously creating. And let's look at the results that perhaps you're not pleased with, that you don't like, that you're downright in resistance to, or would rather not look at, right? So, for example, maybe you said to yourself in 2023 that you were going to lose that weight finally, that you were going to get fit, that you were going to start working out or working out more, or eating healthier, or taking your vitamins, or being diligent about your water intake, and et cetera, et cetera. And check in. Did you do that? And maybe you did, but in a gradient. Maybe it wasn't at 100%, maybe it was at a 90 or an 80 or a 60 or a 50%, or 40, 30, 20, 10% of the time, right? And so when you can see that, then you've made it conscious. And now you have some choices to make. I remember there was I had a mentor when I was going through like a train the trainer PhD kind of rigorous study. The people that in transformational trainings, for example, there's like the basic training or the foundational one, and then there's like the advanced course, and then there's like leadership and so forth. And after you've done leadership, then you come back and you coach and you senior, et cetera, et cetera. And then beyond that, there are people like, I want to be a basic trainer. I want to be an advanced course trainer. I want to be an LP facilitator and so forth. So I went through that rigorous training. And my mentor for that hazing looked at, we used to have personal strategic plans, PSPs, and they were for 90 days. And she looked at four PSPs, which, you know, encompassed a year. And in every one of them I had that I wanted to lose 25 pounds. And at this point, she said, why don't we just take that off? I was like, no, I really do want to. She's like, no, you don't. No, you don't, because otherwise it wouldn't roll over. You would have just accomplished it. So just make peace with the fact that you're okay with the 25 extra pounds that you're carrying and just take it off the list. You don't want it. And that level of confrontation, that level of audit, right? It made me recommit. And then I finally did end up losing the 25 pounds. But it was because I got committed. It was because I got conscious of the results that I was creating, of the version of myself that I was allowing, and then deciding, okay, this version is outdated. I'm here creating a different version. And so, yes, hazing. And so I want to ask you the same thing, right? What version of yourself are you creating? And so maybe it's unconscious, but now that we can bring it to the fore, now you can make some decisions. And so some of it might be, I'll take you through the chakras, right? Some of it might be at the physical level. Maybe it's your health in terms of like blood pressure, cholesterol, kidney function, liver function, heart function, eye function. Maybe you need to get your eyes checked. Maybe you need to get your teeth cleaned. Maybe you need a haircut. Maybe you need to lose some weight. Whatever the physical thing, and maybe it's not physical in your body, maybe it's physical in your environment. Maybe you're living with a level of clutter that you say you're not pleased by, but you continue to tolerate it. Maybe the car needs repairs, maybe the kids need, you know, certain things, etc. Right? So you want to check in with your physical, the temple that you inhabit, and the temple that you allow, your sacred temple for yourself, your house, your office, the places that you inhabit. Is that the version of you that you want to create? And then take it on a next level in terms of the way that you duplicate yourself, right? The sacral chakra is about your reproductive system. So how do you not only reproduce yourself, but how do you find joy? Some of the ways in which we find joy is through the money that we make and produce and use, the relationships that we have. Some of it might include sensual or sexual pleasure. Some of it might just be intimacy in terms of our friendships, our colleagues, and so forth. Are you the kind of friend? Are you the kind of spouse? Are you the kind of child or daughter or son or brother or sister or whatever label you want to attach to your relationship that you say you want to be? If not, what has stood in the way? These are like second weekend questions, right? And then at the third chakra, the solar plexus, it's about your personal will, your executive faculty, your ability to execute. And so you may have, like me, look, let me show you, a to-do list that's like a mile long, right? And so, but listen, notice, some of this stuff has been crossed off, okay? Don't sleep on Monikah. So you wanna check in with yourself. How is my executive function? Do I do what I say I'm going to do? Am I my word? How much am I my word? Am I my word 100% of the time, 90% of the time, 80, 70, 60, 50? Can people take me seriously? Can people trust me? Do I follow through? And if not with others, then with myself, right? And then at the heart level, the chakra at the heart level, do I speak authentically? Do I share myself? Am I allowing others to see me in my authenticity, in my fullness? Who am I uninterrupted? It's a great question. Who am I? Uninterrupted. Sometimes you declare a particular goal or you declare a particular intention, and then you come up on a particular obstacle, usually self-imposed. Yes, but it's too early in the morning, it's too late at night, but this one's gonna say no, but I need the money, but blah, 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 but this is not the right time. It's the calendar and the geography and the blah, blah, blah. And then you create interruptions for yourself. It's like you could have just gone for it. Instead, you created like a hurdle. What do you call those? What do you call that track event in track and field where you have to jump through? Yeah, the hurdles, right? 400 hurdles. And so you kind of like designed that for yourself. And for what? Right? So that you don't have to risk, so that you can make it okay to quit, so that you can make it okay to not try hard enough, to not have to reinvent yourself, to not put yourself on the line, et cetera, right? And so that's at the heart level, your intimacy, your authenticity, your connectivity, etc. And then at the throat chakra level, are you speaking your truth? Is your yes a yes and your no a no? Or do you say yes to things out of obligation, out of feeling guilt, out of FOMO, the fear of missing out? Do you say no because out of fear, out of punishing someone? You said no to me last time, so I'm gonna say no to you today, right? Yeah, Laura asks, is my executive functioning selective? Sure, it should be. It should be selective. But given the things that you are committed to, are you at 100% commitment to your commitments, right? And so then at the throat level is your honesty, your integrity. You're speaking your yes is a yes, your no is a no, and that you're not lying by withholding. Sometimes that's the part that we don't check ourselves on. Well, I didn't lie. Well, yes, but your silence was your accomplice in your not truth telling, right? So we think it's like this dichotomy, like it's either a truth or a lie. But there's a big gap in between. And sometimes the silence is right in the middle. It's neither the truth nor a lie. It's just silence. It's just lying by withholding, right? And so you want to check yourself on those things about your throat chakra. Are you fully self-expressed in that way? At the sixth chakra level, your third eye, when you get an intuition, when you get an unction, when you get a download, do you honor that? Do you follow through on it? Do you check up on it? Or do you betray your own inner wisdom? And so then your intuition, your inner wisdom is like, I might as well just stay quiet because she ain't gonna listen to me. Right? If you and I are friends and I always want to contribute to you and you always ignore me, eventually I'm gonna stop talking to you. Right? And so you want to check in to see, are you doing that to your own inner wisdom, to your intuition? And then finally at the crown chakra, your divine connection to universal source. Are you sarcastic about that? Is your faith shaken about your connection to universal oneness? Or do you think, here's a good one. Tell me if I'm the only one in the room that has done this. All right. I'm gonna tell you what it is, and then you put a 1 in the chat if you've done this too. Okay. There have been times when I get down on myself so much that a friend of mine has had to say to me, so you mean to tell me that the universal intelligence, divine oneness, God, universe, Allah, Buddha, whatever it is that people call it nowadays, that this thing was so perfect and so infinite that it created seasons and planets and galaxies and the Milky Way and gravity and weather and oceans and mountains and forests and birds and fish and animals and human beings and the ability to harness electricity and this and this and that and that. And then fell down on the job when it came down to make you. You're the only, mistake in an otherwise perfect record. And you think that's humility. Boy, you're special. You are like, you should be in a museum somewhere because you're the only recordable, documented fuck up in God's record. Now, when she said that to me, I had to laugh at my own absurdity because I was like, well, somebody read my numbers. Right. And sometimes we act like that. We're like, oh, but I just can't, and I won't, and I haven't, and when will I, and da da da. And you just kind of like get down on yourself, like, like, God took a break. Perfect record. But when it came down to making yours, like, I can quit now. It doesn't have to be excellent. It doesn't have to be perfect. I can just chill. I've earned my stripes. And so you want to check yourself on, are you respecting, are you honoring that you too are among the sacred creation? And you respect yourself for being part of the perfect creation. And so when you are thinking about what version of yourself are you consciously creating right now, I want you to take those things into account. I want you to think about that. So one of the exercises that I do, I like giving homework and exercises and things like that. One of the exercises that I do is that I think about a person that, like, they could do no wrong in my eyes. Like, I love them. They're one of my favorite people. I believe in them. I celebrate their wins. I mitigate their losses. I console them when they let themselves down or when the world lets them down. It's like, I just don't want no harm coming to you. You just, the bee's knees, that person. Think of that person. We all have at least one. It could be one of your children. It could be your spouse. It could be a sibling. Whoever it is, think of that person like, you can do no wrong in my eyes. You and I go together forever. And if that person made a mistake or fell down on the job or heavily disappointed himself, herself, didn't live up to his or her potential, or was just kind of coasting, phoning it in for whatever reason, just kind of like driving with the one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake, would you talk to that person the way you talk to yourself when you're in beat up mode? They will punch you in the throat. Like, who think you're talking to? Right? I thought we were friends. What is all this venom? Right? So I want you to start talking to yourself the way you would this person. Robin said, they'd be like, bitch, please. Did I say that out loud? Right. They'd be like, listen, I thought we were friends, but we might have to take this outside. Okay? Because listen, I'm not afraid to throw some bows. So I want you to think about that. When you're in your beat up moments, like, would you take that kind of talk from anybody? Or would you dare say that to anybody else? You know you'd be setting up for a fight if you talk to somebody the way you talk to yourself. At the very least, you wouldn't be friends no more. So I wanna open it up for discussion. Like, what is the version of yourself that you are consciously creating, given the questions I've just given you, given the context that I just set up? What is the version of yourself that you've been heretofore creating, that now that you're conscious about it, you plan to interrupt? That's the question. What is the version of yourself that you have been heretofore unconsciously creating, that now, given these questions, you're now like, okay, it's time to interrupt this foolishness? I would love to have that conversation. Who wants to go first?
Well, you got me kind of stuck because I don't know if I actually have an answer. So I'm processing. I'm trying to come up with a way to put this into words that
I like the processing.
Doesn't make me say, did I just say that out loud?
We've crossed that bridge, Mr. Robin. But here's a guideline that might be useful for everybody here, since we're talking amongst family. Check in with your results. health-wise, sacral chakra, solar plexus chakra, heart center, throat, intuition, union with the divine. Are you where you say that you wanted to be? Check in with your resolutions that you started in 2023 and look back the last 12 months. How would you grade yourself given the intention that you set out for this year?
Is there a curve?
I don't know. There's no curve. This is not the
One of
American public
one.
school education system. This is
One of one. That's it.
all right. I don't know that there's any education system except the American public education system where you just pass on GP. No. You got to earn these.
I think a lot of people just put themselves in such a low ranking with that because there's this pride factor that they feel like they're not supposed to have, right? I think that's some of the genesis of it. And then they think, well, if I'm not supposed to have pride, then why should I even think I'm anything or any all? No, I'm 100% where you am checked in, heart, throat, head, the whole thing.
Yeah.
My connection to the universe, my health, my mental state, my relationships. I don't I'm like 96 maybe. I won't give myself 100 because I know I'm screwing up something, but 96, like I'm there. I wish more people could feel that. It's apparent they don't based on the amount of medication and therapy that we have in this country
That's
for
true.
people not feeling good about themselves, right?
Sure.
So, but do I still like to have a couple drinks in the evening? Sure. Do I do it because I'm trying to cover up something? Unless there's something subconsciously that's deep down in there, take about 3 years and $500,000 worth of therapy to drag out. And if that's the case, it's really not worth dealing with, right? So I'm going to say I'm 96%.
That's funny. Yeah. Okay, I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
But I think a lot of people won't admit that. They'll say, "Oh, I'm not this, and I'm not that, and I'm not there." They just self-sabotage. They just, like you said, they say shit to themselves they would never say to somebody else or allow somebody else to say to them.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's
you bring up a great point in that the other side of the coin of that, of sometimes not wanting to admit where we fall short, is also not wanting to celebrate our triumphs.
yeah.
To your point about I don't want to seem prideful, I don't want to seem like I'm boasting, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't know
I
who
finished
said,
my damn book this year. That's what I did. I'm
yeah,
gonna boast.
this is great. And our culture isn't very good at allowing people to celebrate themselves. We put a cap on that, right? It's like, okay, do a funny dance for like 3 seconds and then settle down,
Right. Don't make me feel bad about my lack of ability by you showing me that your ability, right?
Well, yeah, and so I think that's where the whole like bell curve starts, where it's like, oh well, if we could just take the average, like, no. I want to be graded on my achievements, not yours. I want to be graded on, what I say matters to me, not what society says matters.
Right. That's the key right there. I tell you, Monikah, that's it. Where people don't understand. They're allowed to be okay with their assessment of where they are. And I don't give two butts about anybody else's opinion. Right.
Yes.
And that's where I think we fall down. That's a big piece of the key.
That's a big piece. Yeah.
And that comes from a lot of our upbringing and a lot of our, like you say, self-talk and things like that. But my mom told me I was the most amazing person in the world. And because of her, damn it, I am. And I don't know what you think about that. I know how I feel about it, right? So,
well, I had an interesting conversation. I forget who I was talking. It was a group of people, so I don't know that there was any particular person, but it just kind of was born out of that common that collective. We were talking about how nothing in this planet is thrives in isolation. Everything is part of an ecosystem. Everything is part of a system, right? Even in our bodies, when you lose one of your 5 senses, the other ones come in automatically to compensate. So if you lose, for example, your eyesight, all of a sudden you start hearing better and you have more tactile sensory perception because you need to get around more and your sense of distance and function and so forth. And so we were talking about how that also happens at the social level. And we have this conversation about because you shouldn't malign people just because of a few bad apples. But if you take that bad apple out of the police force or the hospital or the school system or politics or whatever, there will come 10 more bad apples just like it, because it's not a function of bad apples. It's a function of this is the way the system was designed. And so in the same way with us, this is us having this conversation with Daily Huddle family. We want to look at how am I functioning as an individual, but also as part of the whole, right? The contribution that I am to my family, to my community, to society as a whole, are the things that are going on in the world because I've been self-absorbed. Let's consider that.
Isn't it kind of self-absorbed to think that you're affecting the things in the world?
It could be, sure, it could be, absolutely. And I think it's a give and take conversation, right? That it's like, to what degree could I affect the whole? And to what degree is that just kind of like navel gazing? Right. And so, but being in the question allows you to see some possibilities that you wouldn't otherwise have considered. And it goes to the point of what version of yourself are you creating? Because I can't really say that I'm a responsible citizen of the world and then be blind to some of that stuff or not speak up about some of that stuff.
Right.
And this is something that I think a lot of us grapple with, like, to what degree is my spirituality, is my social participation or activism part of my spirituality? And to what degree are they separate things?
Right. Right.
So, anybody else have something to comment, to volunteer, to vent, to grieve, to ask?
I'm just glad I jumped on when I did. That was good timing. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Good check on where I'm at right now.
Mm-hmm. Looks like Peter wants to sit down and say something.
About to step up. My man, Peter James.
I'm just waiting for him to unmute himself.
My man, Peter James. What you gonna say to us,
Oh,
Peter?
he's like, nah, I'm just grabbing a seat. Carry on, everybody.
Yeah, you guys doing?
Hi, Peter.
Better now that you're here.
I'm vertical. I was horizontal. I just got vertical.
Oh, okay. Well, welcome to the
Nice.
vertical world. I love it.
Yeah, but I've been listening to you guys, and this is a very stimulating conversation.
Awesome.
Yeah. How do you want to? That's good.
Mhm.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Thank you,
Okay.
Laura.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody else? Comment, question, confession, vent, grievance?
Oh, I better be careful. They're gonna make me come back. They're
Yeah,
gonna make
right.
me come back. I come hang out with you on Thursdays too much.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. Here's another thing that I'm gonna say about that is that silence and contemplation are also spiritual tools of development. In fact, I don't think we give it enough credit, the role of silence and of contemplation. I think sometimes we are so busy filling in the air with words, with, that's what the reason why people sometimes just doom scroll on TikTok or on social media or whatever, because like they can't just sit still. They just have to be consuming something or being entertained because they don't know how to be with the emptiness or the silence.
Right.
So I'll challenge you all. I'll challenge us all, because I'll take that on myself. This question of what version of yourself are you consciously creating now and moving forward into 2024? Spend some time, even if you have to, like, just so that your brain can sit down for a second and be quiet. If you have to just set a timer for 10 minutes so that it knows that it's a finite time, then just sit down and just, grab a piece of paper or just ponder looking into the ceiling or the trees outside the window or whatever the case may be, to just really be with yourself and let that inner wisdom bubble up. There are certain things that we already know that we haven't articulated to ourselves, and therefore we won't admit it or won't explore it. But if you sit with yourself long enough in contemplation and in silence, those things automatically bubble up. You don't have to go looking for your truth. You just have to sit with it. Yeah?
Good,
So,
right there.
thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate you. And remember, of course, to love generously, to laugh loudly, to get yourself at least 7 hours of sleep, move your body. Remember that twerking is a Kundalini raising spiritual exercise. Stress less, eat more plant-based food. And of course, always check yourself before you wreck yourself, audit your assumptions. We love you. Thank you for being here. See you next time.
Peace.
Love you all. Peace. One love, guys. One love.
Love.
Thank you.